This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. And today I have someone that's very special. Is the guy that has the most views in my YouTube channel. Is the first person that I have for a second time, right? Second interview.
Right.
And then his name is Terrance X Johnson, and I call him Mr. J, right? Mr. Johnson. He is an international business coach and also the CEO of Evolution Mentoring Program. And I'm going to let him tell you more about that. But first, Mr. J, how are you?
I'm doing super fantastic, James. I'm glad to be back. And hey, it's an honor to be back for the second time, be the very first individual. And I'm also glad to hear that we have the highest, or I guess our podcast has the highest views. So hopefully we can top that this time. But man, as always, I can't complain. Life is good. And I'm excited about the podcast. Looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always a pleasure having a conversation with you. So you were like, oh, like I want to do the podcast again. Like I liked it. I'm like, yeah, perfect. Because that's a good opportunity for me to have a long conversation and deep conversation with takeaways with you. So I was like, of course I'm going to do it. So,
no doubt. You know what, man, at the end of the day, and just for you guys who want to be listening to this, he's an outstanding young man. And I make it a point to spend time with people that I think that are really going somewhere, that have all the talent in the world. And it's just truly my pleasure. As I get older, I enjoy pouring back into people, particularly younger people. And you see it all the white on my face. Hopefully this wisdom will transfer and you guys will take something from it, apply it to your lives, and look forward to changes that will happen.
Amazing. So I would like to give us a little bit of your authority, right? Like your background, so people understand, where is this advice coming from and why they should care. And then we'll go right into the advice.
Well, I try to keep that as brief as possible. Again, my name is Terrance Johnson. Everyone calls me Mr. J. I'm the CEO of Evolution Mentoring Program. I'm also a former executive with ABC, Walt Disney, and ESPN. Prior to that, I worked for Magic Johnson. You guys all know him, the famous Laker basketball player. I worked for him for a couple of years, and former vice president of the Georgia Restaurant Association, secretary for the Georgia Restaurant Council. And just been very successful in business throughout my 30-year career. And I'm married, and I'll be married 28 years in July of this year. Very proud of that. I have a lovely wife, my wife, Marie. And I also like to point out, because a lot of people look at me, you're successful, this, that, the third, but I want to make this very clear. I would not be where I'm at without my wonderful wife. So I just want to shout her out. I know she's going to be listening to this sometime in the future. So, hey, baby, I love you. Peace, peace.
Amazing. Thank you for that. And for giving credit to where credit is due. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's amazing that you do those things, because not everybody do. And for me, my girlfriend, that she helps me out a lot. She takes care of me, and she, I can focus way more in the business so I can generate more, because, there's things that don't show in the P&L, right? Like you say, because what the difference between going and being a minimum wage job or something and just having a horrible boss or something, instead of helping me so I can make more high ticket sales and then have a better life in general, right? So that's kind of along the lines of
I like to touch on those things, because I see the current climate as relationships are concerned, and I see the direction that so many young people have gone in reference to relationships, and my heart breaks for all of them, the men and the women, because if you really believe that you do not need each other, you are sadly mistaken. And I've been fortunate enough, and in 7 days, I'll be the double nickel, 55 years old. And, I never thought when I was 30, I would be 55, to be honest with you, because when you're 30, you're not thinking about when you're 55. And, no matter my accolades or no matter how much money I might make or my business decisions, it would mean nothing if you don't have someone to share it with and grow old with and age with gracefully. So I'm a fan of family, and hopefully we can expound on that a bit and give some people some good tips, because I know a lot of my mentees struggle in their personal relationships, their marriages, as well as sometimes in business. And it's particularly men because we necessarily don't have other men to talk to. How do you navigate these circumstances and situations that you might find yourself in a positive way, not in a simp way. Let me make that clear, not in a simp way, but in a positive way where you can achieve the results that you're wanting. And all these things are truly possible. As I like to say to people, life is still worth living. It really is.
Yeah, as long as you have something that, you know, have a clear mission and vision, because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't really have that, like I love calling like an anchor, something that keeps you grounded, it becomes really very trivial, like because it's like life is hard, right? Like life is hard. So if you're not fighting, you know, if you're not moving towards something that gets you excited to push towards the challenges, like quitting, right? Like a lot of people, we've seen this more common nowadays than before. It's because like if you don't have that, and then you see everybody, oh, they're going out and all the stuff in social media, and like how they're doing these things and I'm not, right? And you can fall into all these things. So that's why it's important to have like a strong mindset, and to have that North Star, that anchor, something that really keeps you grounded and helps you push toward,
You know what I hear? I don't hear a
challenges.
lot of young people make reference to love. I love my wife. I'm in love with my wife. Does that mean she's never pissed me off? Hey, come on, man. We'd have mad arguments. So many arguments I can't remember them. But I would say to anyone, the key to a successful, long, fruitful marriage is forgiveness. Me and my wife had to forgive each other so many times. When you're young, you say things you don't mean. You know, you say things in the heat of the argument. You know, no infidelity or anything like that, but just, you know, not getting along, having a difference of opinion, not being able to communicate effectively. And a lot of times I mentor a lot of young people, a lot of guys are married, and I talk to their wives as well. And what I find with most young people, it's a real simple thing. They just don't want to go through anything. If you were to examine the marriage vows, it says for richer or for poorer, for sickness and in health, you know, till death do you part. People want the riches, they want the health, and they want the happiness. But they don't want to deal with the poorness, they don't want to deal with the sickness, and they don't want to deal with the bad times. That's what it says, in good times and in bad. People want to deal with the good times, but no one wants to deal with the bad times. And believe it or not, it's not until you experience the bad times that you really see what you're working with. And unfortunately, we're so quick to run away. You know, chuck this woman, I'm gonna get another one. Chuck this guy, I'm gonna get another one. Then you'll find yourself 35 years old in the club, trying to find love, out drinking in the strip club, whatever your vice might be. And it's really counterproductive. At the end of the day, was it easy to be married? Absolutely not. Is it worth it? Looking back on it, it's the best investment I ever made. When you have someone that truly loves you, I mean loves you, will take care of you if you're sick. This is what I often tell young men and women, because everybody's usually healthy in their prime. They're not thinking about getting sick. They're not thinking about type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or any of the things or ailments that come along as you become older. And if you have to go through all those things alone, imagine if you're a guy, you got cancer, and you have no one to provide for you. You're in a bad spot. Or you're a young woman and someone said you have breast cancer, you have no husband there to support you. You're in a bad spot. And unfortunately, because of the narrative that's pushed today, it's pushed away from the union of marriage, it's pushed away from the union of family, and everyone's going for self. And the first rule of nature is self-preservation. But I can assure you, when you look back on your life, you want to make sure that you're making good decisions and good investments with the right people as far as those personal relationships are concerned. Because listen, at the end of the day, it is not good for a man or a woman to be alone, period. It is not good. And so I might be that lone voice in the wind, you know, expounding that viewpoint. I know a lot of people might differ with that, but that's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going to stand on that. You were not, as I would say to my mentees, you did not come from the realms of heaven to come to this planet and exist by yourself. That's just not how it's supposed to be. So hopefully the people will make the right decisions and find someone and build a great life together, and be willing to go through the challenges together, be willing to go through those bad times together. Because when you look back on it, when you're 50, 54, 55 years old, trust me, it'll be worth it.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. And just being objective, just to kind of bring that point, is outside love, you know, in that companionship, it's the efficiency, to be honest, of not having to look for, oh, I need to a new girl or something, and like having to be dating and all that stuff. Instead of like you have someone, you got your needs met, right? Like you're
Right.
happy, and now you can focus on personal development. And that's something that, sometimes, you gotta, there's like a balance, right? Like before going out and getting a partner, you also have to have like some personal development, so you don't put too much on the other person. But at the same time, it's when you can commit to anything in life, really, relationships, business, whatever the case may be, and then you avoid those distractions, you can really like move forward, because
Well,
you're staying in that path, and you can push
you're
harder.
absolutely right. A lot of things that I mentor, I know I said I'm an international business coach, but I think I'm changed my title, because more than being a business coach, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a very spiritual man. And a lot of my success is based in a spiritual foundation. And what I mean by that is that, unfortunately, the things that are change your life are not the things you're taught. The things that will really make an impact on your life and the lives of others are not the things that are generally talked about in society as a normal conversation. Now, I'm not trying to preach and get off into religion. There are many different religions throughout the world. That's not what I'm referencing. What I'm referencing is the basic commonalities we all have as so-called human beings. We're all born, we're all going to die. If I cut your hand and you cut my hand, our blood is going to be red. It might be a different blood type, but at the same time, it's going to be red. Well, what is Mr. Johnson trying to articulate to us today? There are many ancient principles and tactics that are just hidden from you. From the time you're born, these things are stripped from you. And what I'm going to say, some might understand, some may not. But I really do pray that you do. In my experience, you are a soul in a physical body that has a spirit. You would say your spirit would be equivalent to your personality. Your soul is that life force, if you will, that keeps your body moving and where you can get up and do what you do, and your body is your body. Now, many times, and I've watched YouTube from time to time, and I listen to a lot of different individuals. They're always focusing on money, things that, wealth, and not that anything's wrong with that. I enjoy being successful. But none of the things that you're working for can you take with you. Nothing. Not a car, not a house, not the jewelry, none of the things that you're aspiring to have as people. And, I have a beautiful home, but, with all the sofas in this house, when I die, there's no sofa going in my casket. There's going to be my body in a suit. And that's the truth of the matter. The fact is, you are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose. You are not an accident. You're not some random equation. You're not. You're here for a reason. Now, what society does is strip you of your purpose. Clearly, strips you of your purpose and causes you to assimilate into the matrix, for lack of a better term, or into this society. And as I would say to most people, until you find your purpose, until you find what you're passionate about, what you love to do, and this doesn't have to be equivalent to money. A lot of times people say, follow your passion and you'll be broke. Because you might be a great artist, but nobody buys your artwork. It doesn't mean you shouldn't paint. You do what you have to do on one level to pay your bills and have your fiduciary obligations met. But what Mr. Johnson is talking about, the more deeper meaning of life. And the first, I would say, barrier is for people to get control of their mind. Your mind is constantly being bombarded with all types of imagery, all types of images. And the powers that be know this. They know this very well. That's why you have advertisement on TV, the certain music that's being played, certain tones of music that are played. If you ever listen to music, it puts you in a certain mood. Certain music you might listen to make you want to dance. Certain music you might listen to, it makes you sad. There's been studies, and I'm not trying to be long-winded here. Forgive me if I am, but I really want people who are going to listen to this to understand. Most people do not think for themselves. You've been programmed. You've been programmed by the masters of this universe to teach you certain things. If I say finish the common phrase, all of you who are listening to me, just work with it. If I say no pain, all of you know the answer to that. We all know the answer to that. Anything in life worth having, you have to work what for? Hard. Why do we all know that? Because it's been programmed into you to know that. But I want to give you a different scenario. I want to challenge you a bit and make you realize that you have a power in you so great. This is why so many things are done to minimize it or not for you to express it. The power is your mind, your speech, and imagination. Everything you and I see, everything was once a thought. Everything you see, the buildings, the cars, the food, the clothes, the computer, the device we're on right now, it was a thought. Did someone actually come out of the sky and hand you this computer? No, someone thought it up. And that same power that is in that creative mind to think of a microphone or to think of a dress, that same power resides in you. Now, the deal is, how do I access it? Mr. Johnson, how do I really change my life? It's simple. I'm not going to give you a long speech. It is simple. You want to change your life, you only have to do one thing. You have to change. You have to change. The concept of change is simple. However, changing is not, because you formed habits over your lifetime. If you smoke cigarettes, or if you drink alcohol, if you're overeating, if you're angry all the time or sad all the time, this becomes a habit within you. And the first thing you have to do is to get a new mind. How do I get a new mind? It is simple. Stop doing the old things you used to do. So
Nice. There's so much to unpack there, right? And for me, it's I really like talking to you all the time because of gets me thinking a lot about like the power of my mindset and how to I'm more than just a body here, right? Like a vessel. That's how, and that's something that for me, and you know this, right? Every time we talk, it's I'm always like, I'm so willing to change all the time. Like I always tell you, like I'm always willing to grow, willing to change, to do whatever it takes for me to feel fulfilled and not like I'm a bad person. Like that's one of the things that's one of my triggers. And I'm working on it, right? Is when someone makes me feel or just says something that triggers me to feel like I am a bad person. That's something that really triggers me, because I work so hard not to be a bad person and to be the greatest version of myself that I can possibly be. And I hate feeling like a failure. I hate feeling like I'm not winning in life. And it's not about like, I'm competing against myself, right? So it's about me letting myself down and not even trying to be too hard on myself. But when I hear something and it really hurts me because I feel it's true, or at least it's like, I don't know how I might have miscommunicated something, and that's what happened, right? Like I always think about what can I do to make it better, and it's, I don't know, like for me it's that how do I avoid or eliminate those emotions to not let myself get out of like that zone of genius, that path that I know I should be doing, because I feel very positive about the direction that I'm heading. I do feel that I have a lot of baggage that I'm carrying, of personality, of relationships, of business, and a lot of things that it feel like I'm trying to move forward, but like I have like this this very big weight, and I'm trying to let it go, and mentally I'm like, look, I'm fine, like I'm where I'm supposed to be and all those things, but sometimes it's hard every time that there's pressure from situations that like I know that I have to make right. So giving on that note, what kind of advice do you have for people who like are carrying with past mistakes?
That's easy, James. That's the easy one. You heard me say earlier about the marriage piece. You have to forgive each other. Most people won't forgive themselves. You have to forgive yourself. Man, listen, I'm not perfect. I made a ton of mistakes, especially when I was younger. I made a bad mistake. I used to have a real bad temper, get angry all the time. That was my way of coping with things, was anger. I'm pissed off. But, when you grow and by God's grace, you mature and you learn yourself a bit more, the first thing I would say to anyone, hey, listen, man, whatever you've done in the past, if you feel as though I'm carrying this baggage, if you will, forgive yourself. You got to forgive yourself. People are apt to forgive their children, they'll forgive their spouse, but they won't forgive themselves for the mistakes, whatever things they might have done in their lives that they're not really proud of, or they feel as though they're carrying that weight with them. The second thing I want you to do is to realize something, and this is what I always express to young people. Listen, if you're 30 years old, I'm 55, I'll be 55 in a few days, right? You have time You have time. And a lot of people struggle with being patient with themselves, being patient with their business, being patient with their spouse, whatever the case might be, the children, whatever it is. And you have to let patience have its work. There's a reason the word exists called patience. You need to learn patience. And this is a struggle for most people because everyone wants everything instantly. They want Instagram, Instacart, microwave food, 60 seconds, I got a meal. I understand the ideology behind it, but that's just not realistic. Not that it can't happen, you can have instant gratification on some level, but the fact of the matter is, both things happen over a period of time. So what I would say to you is, number one, I'm going to forgive yourself. Number two, realize that you have time. You have time to grow and to evolve into this person that you're wanting to be. What I often tell people is most people are their own worst critic. They're their own worst critic. They're judging themselves harshly because they might not be where they want to be financially. You might not be where you want to be physically. You might not be, your business life might not be where you would like for it to be. And that causes a certain amount of pressure and frustration, especially if you're watching society and you're seeing a 25-year-old millionaire and this guy has a Lamborghini and a Bugatti or whatever. You're like, man, I want that. And again, nothing wrong with admiring from a distance, if you will. But again, that's that person's path, if you will. This goes back to that spiritual element, James. You know, most people don't know what a soul contract is. I firmly believe you chose to come here. Let's peel the onion back a bit. You chose to come here. You did not just appear on this planet. You didn't. We were all existing. You chose to come into this world of what I call death and decay. What do I mean by that? Everything in this world dies or decays. Let me give you an example so you don't think I'm a little left to center. You get a brand new car, it looks spectacular in the showroom. I mean, the paint job is just shining, it just looks incredible. A year later, the car has brake ducts on its brakes. The paint is still nice, but it's not as glossy. You can wash it, whatever, but it's not brand new anymore. And in a period of 10 years, the car will look outdated, somewhat old. You get my point. You take a fresh apple, you pick it off the tree, and it's peak of freshness. You put it on your counter. In a matter of a few months, if you just left it there, it would rot and go away. That's what this world is. That's what this world is. It is the ebb and flow of life. My advice to you is to get into the ebb and flow of life. Life is not just this, a straight ride. Imagine your life was a roller coaster. And here again, nobody wants to go through anything. They don't want to go through challenges. They don't want to how to put down guilt. How do I keep a good attitude? I feel this way, all the things we just were expressing momentarily ago, right? But if your life, you imagine your life as a roller coaster and it just went straight, that would be a boring roller coaster ride. Many people wouldn't want to get it. There would not be a long line to get on that ride. But if you get on that roller coaster and it has 3 loops and a hard 80-degree turn, and I mean, man, it is jarring you left and right and forward and backwards. And then you get all the way to the finish and it brings you back the other way. That's an exciting ride. Such is life. It should be exciting.
That's something that it's a good perspective and reminded me of this piece of content that I think it was on TikTok. I saw this video that it's imagine that you're just like a energy being, right? You're just like part of the everything, right? God or whatever you want to call it, right? You're just infinite beam of light, and then you can have a conversation, right? And you get an option of like, imagine like if you get the option to be like, look, you're gonna go, if you have the chance to go and to become a human for this very short period of time, right? Because in compared to eternity, life is nothing, right? Like it's just such a little amount of time. It's like, so imagine if you're given the chance to go to be a human and experience emotions and experience everything for this short period of time, like, would you take it? And I'm like thinking about it. So I'm this infinite being, powerful, like part of God, part of everything. And I get the chance to be vulnerable for a little bit just to experience it, right? Like kind of like the metaphor of the roller coaster, right? So, like you're just gonna go here, you're gonna get scared, you're gonna be emotion, you're gonna feel all these different emotions, but then it's gonna be wild, but like you want to experience that. And if I think about it, like, I would say yes. And I guess, goes along with what you said. It's like I chose to be here, right? Like, if I
Okay.
had that chance, I would have taken it, and now I'm here. So like,
I would take it a step further. Not only did you choose to come here, you chose to be a man. You chose everything. Most people do not realize that they're part of the infinite, which you and I categorize as God. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it the source, the creator, the one, the mind, the all. There are many different names that it goes by. But in saying that, you did not come here unequipped. You know this little indentation that you have in your lip right here that you see all human beings have? No one knows what that's for. Well, in the ancient text, it clearly states this is where the angels would press right here so that you would forget who you are when you came here. You don't know. That's why you're born a baby. You have to be taught everything. You got to learn to crawl. You got to learn to walk. You got to learn to talk. You got to learn to write. You got to learn to run. You got to learn everything over again so that you can get the full experience of this realm of existence. Now, with that being said, what I would like to do is to tell people in a practical manner, Mr. Johnson, is what you're saying is true. If there's any validity to what you're expressing to us, how do I change my life? And I would want us to go as best we can, give you a few practical steps that you can do. It doesn't cost you any money at all, not selling you anything. All I'm giving you is wisdom. I say this to young people. Wisdom and gray hair have this in common. They both come slowly. It takes time. That's why I say it's important that you be patient. But the first thing I would like to suggest to all who are listening to me is this. Number one, forgive yourself. If you really want to change your life this very moment, you can do so. When you wake up every morning, there is no one in your head but you. No one. That voice that you hear speaking to you, that's telling you don't do this, don't do that, that's a form of God, because I believe you are God, you and God are one. But at the same time, you don't hear this, thus saith the Lord thy God voice. You hear it in your own voice, or your higher self, as I hear other people articulate it. What I want you to start doing, number one, is to calm your mind. This is crucial. Some people do it in the form of meditation. Some people might smoke some cheese. Just being honest, I deal with all different walks of life. Some people might achieve it through exercise or whatever. But more importantly than how they do it, it's important that you do it. Calm your mind. Then I want you, once you calm your mind, I want you to ask yourself just one simple question. What do you want? And don't give the generic answer. Let me give you an example. I want to be happy. Everybody says that. But what does that look like? I want to make a lot of money. Well, what does that look like? Here's the generic answer, unlimited. That doesn't make sense to me. Most people lack the ability just to be decisive. Exactly. And then here's what they'll do. When you figure out what you want, they're going to sell themselves short. Why? Because they don't appear to be greedy, arrogant, or not a humble individual, which all three of these things are a mistake. What do you want, really? Do you want a successful business? I want a successful business doing A, B, and C. Do you want a successful marriage? I want a great marriage, this, that, and the third. I want you to write your vision down. It's a vision. You're having a vision in your mind of how you would like to see your life in the so-called future. So calm your mind. Once you calm your mind, just ask yourself, what do I want? What do I really, really want? What would make me feel good? All right. Once you establish that, now then how do I do it? Now, the things I'm about to tell you, they only work on one principle, belief. The power of belief is so underrated. It's a crime. It's a crime. Let me give an example. You'll have two parents raise their child, and say the boy is struggling with athletics, if you will. Mom and dad will tell that boy, son, you got to believe in who?
Yourself.
But they won't do that for themselves. You see, they won't believe in themselves in the same way they're believing for their child. You must understand, belief, when you understand how it works, you have to become the person that you perceive to be in the future at this very moment. I don't like the word future, James, because the future never really exists. I will give you an example. Tomorrow what? Never comes. Tomorrow is always today, and today is always yesterday. The only moment you have of any relevance is now. in this present moment. Root yourself in this present moment. And then I want to express to you that the reason you have voice, the only gift given to all of mankind is thought and speech. Mankind has the ability to think and to communicate those thoughts to others. So what I want you to do then, this is not something I want you to go out and yell from the rooftop, but the inward chatter, the inward conversation that you're having with yourself, I want you to say it to yourself with authority. You must mean what you say, young men and women. You must mean what you say, older men and older women. You must believe that what you're saying is true. I'm not talking about idle chatter. Idle chatter leads to poverty. In other words, if you say, I want to have a successful podcast and I want it to become global, right? And you do it for 2 years and you don't have the followers you're looking for, you don't have the numbers you want. And instead of you keep believing, you do what? You quit. Not realizing that 30 days later you would have get a major breakthrough, but because you quit, you missed your opportunity. You see, but because you lack patience, you understand? People lack patience. They give up too easily. So what I want you to do, let's go by step. Mr. Johnson, I need to clear my mind. Calm down. I don't give a damn what you're dealing with. I got bills, Mr. Johnson. You'll be okay. Mr. Johnson, I'm dealing with a personal ailment. Well, treat yourself, go to the doctor, do everything in your power to make yourself well. God willing, you'll be okay. Whatever challenges you might be facing, certain things you can't go around, you have to go through. You have to go through it. And you're going through it not to harm you. You're going through it because this is part of your soul contract. When you decided to come here, this is when I'm going to go through to get to where I need to be. But because you forgot that, it's hard. It's tough. I feel this pressure. It's stressful. I'm not happy. These are all temporary states of existence. So calm your mind, write it down, and then start living as if it is real. Now, this is where most people fail, James. They can't comprehend it. How do I believe in something that I cannot see? How can I say that I am this when I see no evidence of it around me? Well, there's a small word called faith. Faith. Now, what is faith? What does it mean to be faithful or to have faith in something? Well, I'll give you the biblical definition. It says this: faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What does that mean, Mr. J? It is simple. Faith is, that's what it says, a real thing. It's the substance. In other words, the matter, the quantum physics, the metaphysics, the substance, the evidence of the thing not seen. So the fact that you have faith, the fact that you believe it, listen carefully, young people. This is how it works. It is the fact that you believe it that brings it into existence. Don't say working 80 hours a week. You and I know people, all of us know people who worked hard all of their natural lives and don't have much to show for it. Just because you work hard, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, does not mean you're going to be successful. It does not. It just means you worked hard. And don't buy into the corporate jargon, work smarter, not harder. What are you saying? That the people who were working hard were not smart individuals? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. This is all just words that people throw around because it sounds politically correct. The fact of the matter is, it is your life. You have a power inside of you that how it works is through mind, will, emotion, and speech. Your mind comes up with an idea. All right? Once you start thinking, it creates a feeling in you, so much so you'll start talking about it. All right? And once you vocalize it, once you start sharing it out into the universe or out into the world, if you will, unbeknownst to you, and even I cannot explain it, let me be clear, in a way I don't understand, it comes to you. This is why it's so important that you hear people say, keep a what attitude? Positive. Why do you have to tell people to keep a positive attitude? Because the natural state of most people is negative. Now here, you dig deeper. You're not born that way. You become that way. You become that way through society by being bombarded with murder, killings, recessions, war, disagreements, racial disparity, and all the things in society that are constantly negative that are being fed into you. If I was a gym guy and I wanted to work out, they would say, hey, it's good that you work out, but you also have to eat right. You have to know what you're putting in your body to get it to perform at its optimum level. Everyone agrees with that. But no one watches what they feed their mind. They don't understand that they're giving their mind junk food all day. And then they wonder why they're not mentally strong. They wonder why that their mindset shifts from time to time. It's because just like you need a physical diet to keep your physical body well, your spiritual diet, your mental diet. If you're listening to a bunch of foul music, I'm telling you what I know. You're feeding that into your spirit. Your spirit is just like your body. You're feeding it. But if you surround yourself with certain types of music, certain types of vernacular, certain types of conversation with people, if you be around a bunch of positive people, one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to become a positive person or you guys are not going to hang together. It's true. So calm your mind, write it down, start living as if it's true, and walk in it. You're not a fool if you don't see any evidence of it right away. You're not a fool. A woman gets pregnant, the baby does not come out in 2 days. It takes 9 months for that child to develop. And not only for that child to develop, look at all the stuff the woman's going through at the same time. There is a process to your life. And you are here to learn to manifest and to use the energy or your spirit to create a better place upon this planet. But because most people do not vibrate on that frequency nor operate in that mindset, many people never experience that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that, I was very, very attentive to everything because, it's like, I take it as kind of like hypnosis in a way too, right? Like I'm listening to you, internalizing and really trying to wire my brain that way, right? Because
Yeah.
I do believe that I am, like, since I was growing up, like I always felt like I was special, like I was destined for greatness. And the thing that kind of started like dimming my light or stuff was like being an entrepreneur. It's been so hard, right? And it's not just the parts of like the business and the sales. It's just the things going wrong, right? Like those parts of a client not being happy when I feel that I'm doing a good job. Like that's something that it's very hard for me because there's evidence and still like there's vanity metrics, there is relationships, there's all these different things, and then my client not appreciating that. It's like the evidence is there. It's not me being objective. Oh, but like money, 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 and I'm like
Let
like
me,
I
let me
cannot
help you.
track everything, right? Like and I don't know. It's just
What I
something
would say
that
to you is this: ask for a good spirit of discernment. You see, your spiritual gifts are not limited to just, okay, blessing my business. That's just one aspect. You haven't even scratched the surface at all. You don't know. There's a text that says this: my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Knowledge of what? Themselves. Most people don't know who they are. If you don't know who you are, forget your name is James for a moment. If I removed your name, James, would that stop you from existing? No. That's just your name. That's how we identify you. This is James Fu. Okay, great. But what Mr. Johnson is saying, that's just your name. Who are you? What are you? If you don't know why you're here and why the world is here, you can't play in the game. You don't know. You'll find yourself as millions of billions of other people unhappy, unfulfilled, dissatisfied, living in lack, sick, not just physically, but mentally. That's why there's so many therapists and mental institutions and so many drugs that are prescribed to people. They don't understand why they're alive, what they are, and what this world is. The point I'm simply trying to make to you is this: you must search, you must start the quest, if you will. The quest of life, I assure you, it's not for you to pay your bills every damn 30 days. That's the slavery, that's the matrix. That's the condition in which you're born into. That's the societal programming that all of us have to deal with every day. Rain falls from the sky for free, but yet they make you pay for the water. Electricity was always there, but yet they make you pay for it. There's no lack upon this planet, guys. There's no lack at all. There's just a lack of knowledge of self. You have the ability to change your life the moment you truly decide, I'm going to change my life. Now, again, we were talking about, you were digesting everything, and I know I was giving kind of a long answer, but inside you are all these cells, if you will. I'm going to go a little deeper on But all these cells are inside of all of us, right? And each day, when you're a young person, you're growing. You know, you're a baby. The next thing you know, you're 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, whatever. Even though you're going through your life, those cells are just still doing what they're supposed to do. And you go from being a baby to an adult. So the cells are always doing what they're supposed to do. But what if I told you? What if I suggested to you, let's suppose you wanted to go to, I don't know, everybody likes to go to Dubai. Okay, as a good one, I'm gonna go to Dubai, right? But let me say, if you're in a situation, you say, man, I would like to go to Dubai, but I just can't afford it right now. I can't afford it. You do not understand that you've cursed yourself. You really do not. Mr. J, what are you talking about? Well, I hear
That's what
young
I'm
people
saying
say,
right now. Is like, what are you talking about?
yeah, what is he talking about? Well, I hear young people say all the time, Mr. Johnson, you can speak things into existence. I say, I believe that to be true. But let's dig a little deeper. If you can speak something into existence, that means something is listening to you. Who's on the other side listening? Who's on that other side listening to what you're saying?
I mean, like we said before, like many names, right? Like could be
Hey,
the energy, the source,
no,
Allah,
no,
Jesus, whatever you
that's
want to
right.
call it.
So if you and this source are one, right? And you tell it, I can't afford that. And you believe I can't afford that. Then by definition, what did I say? How does the power work? It's all predicated upon what? Believe. So if you believe that you cannot afford it, by definition, you cannot. But if you turned that coin over and you said, you know what? I'm going to Dubai. They said, man, you don't have the money to go. I don't know. I just believe I'm going to go. How many times have you heard successful actors, athletes all say the same thing? Man, I just kept believing it was going to happen. You hear it all
Yeah.
the time. You hear it all the time. You hear it all the time. But here's the deal. You can believe it for them, but you can't believe it for yourself. Just like the parents believe for the child, but they can't believe it for themselves. It's the same thing. You're not realizing it is you. It is you. Listen to me, beloved. It is you. It is you. It is all you. It is 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 you. There's no external force. It's you. It's how you're perceiving yourself. How do you see your life through your own eyes? Another further example. Go ahead, please.
I just, because this is something that, like, just to be completely transparent, it's something that is kind of triggering me in a way, and I like triggers because it tell me a lot about myself, right? Like I know this, like, I'm in my self discovery journey especially since I became an entrepreneur, has been aggressively growing in myself. And because, for example, like it's I want to go see my family, right? Like I want to go to Puerto Rico. I haven't been there in over a year now, and I miss my family a lot, and I want to, but I don't want to be reckless with my business too, like and having to deal with clients that I things didn't go according to plan, so I gotta work harder, or I gotta hire other people and fire others, and I'm losing my own money. And then it hits me, right? Because I really want to go to Puerto Rico. I really want to go to my family.
I know why you're not going already.
And I know I hurt you, right? But like, how do you discern from, I'm gonna go and pay for this, and then I'm gonna figure out later, and then what if you risk too much?
Listen to me. See, the mistake you're making is you say, I want. I want and I am are not the same thing. People don't understand the power of their words. When you say, I want something, all you're ever going to experience is the wanting of it. I didn't say, I want to go to Dubai. I said, I am going to Dubai. I am going. You see the difference there? When you say, I want something, you express that you do not have it. And then remember, you can speak things into existence. So this thing is listening to you on the other side, and you're saying, I want this. But you're not saying, this is what I'm doing. The point, I'm not saying you to be naive and you have bills you have to pay, or clients you have to meet. I'm not saying that. I have the same situations I deal with on a daily basis. But the fact of the matter is, when you say, I want something, you're declaring to God, the universe, you don't have it, number one. Number two, you said, I want. You didn't say, I am going, or I'm going. You see, I want is not decisive. It's not a decision. When you say, I am, you decided, I'm going to go. Now you start to worry about, well, how am I going to get there? I want to give you all the exercise, and I just want you to try it. You can prove me wrong. If you say, Mr. Johnson, you was wrong, it didn't work, okay, no harm, no foul. But if you're right, it works, you say, wow, Mr. Johnson was telling me the truth. In your mind is your imagination. Your mind is not your brain. Don't confuse the two. The brain houses your mind. Your brain says there's $1,000 in the bank. Your mind is always trying to figure out how to put more into it. Stay with me. The reason you have the ability to use your imagination is because, in my opinion, your imagination is God. Everything you see comes from your own imagination. So if you imagine, what about my clients? What about this? What about that? That's what I'm imagining, then that's what will be. But why can't you say, you know what? I'm going to take a trip. My clients are going to be fine. I'm going to be able to take this trip. It's not going to hurt me financially. Somehow, some way, God, the universe, the source, the creator, the one who will provide for me. It takes just as much energy to say that as to say, hey, I don't know how I'm going to do it. But because, again, most people are conditioned to think negatively about their circumstance and situation, then here comes a guy like Mr. Johnson saying, hey, listen, just see yourself in Puerto Rico. Just see yourself with your family, with your loved ones. You're smiling. You may be eating some beans and rice. You may be having some fungo or I don't know. You just see that smile. Look at the smile on your face. You see that creates the feeling. This is working right now. Just to prove it to you. Just by you started imagining that, based on what he's saying, you started seeing it differently. What happens? You see it differently, and it made you feel differently where you started to smile. That's the secret of it all. But what you stated earlier in your opinion about your triggers, you weren't smiling. It didn't make you feel good. I want you to see that. And I want you to see that it's all coming from you. You started saying, well, what about my clients? And what about this? And what about that? I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't mean that that's the objective truth. It doesn't. You're worrying about things that actually haven't even happened. Which I tell people is respectfully, I say this to all my clients, to worry about something that hasn't even happened is the form of mental illness. So, Mr. Johnson, those are some strong words. Is it really? Did you ever hear mom say, don't worry yourself sick?
No, I believe it. I mean, I believe it. Our mind can really have, it's proven scientifically. It's not like woo-woo or anything.
Let's peel that onion back. You were saying, Jay, what about this? What about that? And I saw the intensity on your face. You weren't smiling.
Because it hurts, you know, it triggers me because like, I don't know if it's just, like, I feel like I'm trying to discern properly because I've done so many mistakes like that. I can't afford to commit more detrimental mistakes, like big mistakes, because like I don't want to lose everything. You know, it scares me, and I don't want to be scared, and I don't want to be like, but it's like I know that I've done so many mistakes and stuff that like I'm always looking for education to get out.
They were lessons. You're learning. And here's another thing. You said a lot of my clients say that, Mr. Johnson, I don't want to make any mistakes. I don't want to lose anything. When you understand you can't take anything with you, there's nothing you have that can't be replaced except your life. If you lose a car, you can get another car. I'm telling you the truth. You think I never lost anything before? Please. But everything I've lost, I've gotten back. That's part of living. And listen, I appreciate what you're saying. I love you to dickens, James. You're my guy. But so maybe the audience get to see that these guys are just having a real conversation. They just let us into it today. Because this is
the idea of this, right? It's we're recording a very valuable because I'm learning right here, and I know that there's gonna be a lot of people that will identify with this because I'm not alone in this, right? No. And if anything, I'm ahead of a lot of people, to be honest, right? So
the fact is, whether you're ahead or not, we're all special. We're all special. We're all part of it. We're all of its children. We are. Everyone takes a different path. Some people take a good one. Some people take a bad one. I don't profess to know all of it. But what I do know is this. I want to go back to you smiling. That's the key. You have to feel it. You see, men are taught to bury their emotions. What replaces when you bury that comes worry. I don't want to lose this. I'm scared of losing that. The only thing you should be afraid of is the power that created you, and that's it. You can't nothing to be afraid of with death because you're going to do it whether you want to or not. There's nothing to be afraid of. But when you profess, listen to what you're saying to yourselves, your cells in your body, into your mind. I'm scared. Well, if you're declaring that I am scared, then you must experience fear because you said you're scared. Why can't you just say, man, I'm bold, I have courage, I'm courageous? What? It takes just as much effort to do that. Why would you say that I'm courageous, I'm bold, no matter what happens, this is what I'm going to do? You see, but you haven't
And
been
I believe
taught
that too. I believe both though. Like, I don't know if that's wrong from me, right? It's just, I don't want to be delusional, you know? I don't want to be
well, it's
delusional.
delusional to believe both. It's either one or the other.
That's good. That's good.
It's
Damn.
delusional to believe both. Either I believe one or I don't. You see, listen, I'm married 28 years, right? You cannot call me a great husband because I provide for my family. That's what I'm supposed to do. You see, you can't give me credit for what I'm supposed to do. I can't either say I'm a good husband and then one level say I'm a bad. My wife would either say either he's a good husband or he's not. You can't be a little bit pregnant. Either she's pregnant or she's not. You know, you have to, here's the question that I told you earlier. You have to make a decision. You have to decide. I told you, most people lack the ability just to decide, this is who I am. This is who I am. This is what I declare to be true about my life. About my life. But if you're operating in fear, doubt, unbelief, worry, anxiety, those things are totally opposite of courage, confidence, steadfastness, a strong mindset. So you can't be double-minded, is what I'm trying to explain to you. And what you're describing respectfully, and for all you who are listening, it is double-mindedness. You know what? There's a scripture in the book of James, believe it or not, same name as you, in the book of James in your Holy Bible, you can read of it yourself. It says this, let he who lacks wisdom ask of God, who gives to all men liberally, but let him ask in faith. But let him not be, I'm paraphrasing if you will, double-minded. For this person is unstable in all their ways. They're like the ocean tossed to and fro. Let this man or woman expect nothing from God. Read it for yourself, James chapter 1, look it up. Not trying to be a preacher, but check it out. It's a very good reference point to what you and I are discussing today. You cannot be double-minded. Either I am filled with courage and confidence. That doesn't mean that I might not encounter a situation where I might become fearful, but understand the difference between being fearful and afraid. Understand the difference. That's why the words are different. They do not mean the same thing. You might be afraid to do something, but do it in spite of being afraid. So most people are not really fearful. They're just afraid because it's unknown to them. They might not do it. So you're sitting here, you're coming up with all these different scenarios. I got to do this, I got to do that. And Mr. Johnson's trying to express to me, James, it takes just as much energy to do that as it does to do this. The deal is, the reason I have both of them, I believe both of them, because both of them are existing in me simultaneously. Now, I am the deciding factor, though. I get to choose ye this day. You get to choose life and death. Listen carefully, young people. Life and death are in the power of your tongue. Speak life. When you speak fear, when you speak lack, when you speak doubt, when you speak unbelief, when you speak worry, by definition, remember we said we can speak things into existence. I'm sure everyone would agree with that. When you speak death, worry, anxiety, fear, lack, that thing on the other side is listening to you, and because that's what you believe, that's what you experience. It is just that simple.
If I gotta say, I think the biggest takeaway from me from this conversation is the double-minded, right? Like, I can't be double-minded. That's something that I never heard before. I just thought that I was just describing, the feeling, and I know words matter, and I'm very intentional, and I try to be, I work towards being a better communicator every single second of my life. I swear. So like especially since I started like becoming a podcast host, and it started with being a radio host and a podcast host. Now I'm a content creator too, and it that like having to record myself and then listen to myself and cringing about the words, and like that's not what I meant. Like hopefully people don't understand this, and all those things is something that I'm very intentional about. Like I want to be as clear as possible in everything that I say, and this is something that is good, because like I do feel like I'm getting in my own way in different ways, and the main thing is it's like it's so hard to know what is the right decision for me. Like I'm trying to trust, learn how to trust my intuition and manifest the dream life that I want. And like it's tough, right? Like I feel like maybe I just don't know enough, right?
Let
Like
me ask
I'm
you a
just,
question. Let me ask you a question. You're not going to remember this, but you know when you were a little boy and you were learning to walk, you fell down so many times. You fell down so many times. And you know what your mom or dad were doing? They would stick their hands out and say, "Come on, James, get back up." And you know what you would do even when you fell down and started crying? You would get back up and you would try again. Eventually, you're learning to walk and you're holding the edge of the sofa. You see babies do it. They have their hands on the table in the living room when they're doing it. And then eventually the child is walking on its own, and eventually the child is running around the house. You're telling it to stop running so it doesn't hurt itself. The point I'm trying to make to you is you still got to grow. You're just growing. That's all this is. And a lot of people don't understand the process of growth. It is a tedious one, albeit it is tedious. But as with all things, how do we learn, James? Through repetition. The more you do it, the better you'll get out of it. Here's what I want to say to you and the people who are listening. A man or a woman becomes what they think about continuously. I'm going to say this to you again. You are becoming what you think about continuously. So if you think about it's tough, it's hard, this, that, and the third, then continuously that's what you're going to experience. You said something earlier, the word intuition. Most people don't even know what the word intuition means, or to be in tune with what. If you take the word intuition and take the T-I-O-N off of it, to be in tune with what? What are you in tune with? I will prove to you that you have special abilities and you're just not using them correctly. If you don't agree, tell me. But if you agree, say, yeah, Mr. Johnson, I understand what you're saying. James, let me ask you a question. Have you ever walked into a room full of people where you can feel something's wrong and no one's ever said a word? Yes or no?
yes, yes, I have.
Have you ever met someone and said, man, I got a bad vibe about that person? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, see, have you ever thought about someone and then that person you thought about calls you out the blue? Has it ever happened to you? Yes or no?
Yes. It has
Okay.
happened with me, with you. It has happened to me. So
The point I'm trying to prove to you, you have abilities, you just don't know that you're using them. You just don't know. So here was the premise of that whole statement. I ask you, have you ever thought about someone and then that person calls you, said, yeah, see, the common word there is thought. Your thoughts, man. It's how the hell you're thinking. You must be transformed through the renewing of your mind. If you change the way you see things, the way you see things will change. But if I have these glasses, right? Over time, my prescription might need to change. But if I continue to wear these glasses and my eyes, sight continues to deteriorate, would I see clearly? Absolutely not. I have to adapt and see things for what they are. So what I'm simply suggesting to you is the way you see your life, listen to all you who are listening to me, the way you see your life is the way you're seeing yourself. So if you see yourself, it's hard. I'm listening to you. It's hard. It's this, it's that. There's no, you know what? I got this, man. This is a cakewalk, man. I got this. I don't give a damn what's coming my way. I got this. That's attitude. Attitude determines altitude. The reason most people don't succeed because you can't give something you don't possess yourself. You can't give $1 million if you don't have it. You can't give knowledge in which you don't possess. The advice I'm giving you is not based on belief. It's based on knowing. Belief is the foundation that brings you to knowing. It is imperative that you know yourself. Remember I said you're destroyed for lack of knowledge? If you take the ledge off the word knowledge, you have the word know. There's a difference between believing and knowing. If I were to ask anyone who is listening to this, do you believe your mom loves you or do you know your mother loves you? I'm sure 99% of I would say, I know my mom loves me. So then when you know something, there's no gray area, there's no ambiguity. In other words, there's no room for doubt. But when you believe something, you're always second guessing yourself because you don't know if it's true or not. You must move from believing to knowing. I gave you the believing aspect of it because I have to give it to you in a way that you can receive it and understand it. But when you take my mentor program, Mr. Johnson brings us from believing to knowing. When you know something, there's no doubt. You know it is factual. And I know it is factual that you can change your life, and you will change your life as soon as you decide to change your life. But if you constantly speak things into your life, it's hard, it's difficult. This is a challenge, that's a challenge. Remember, a man or a woman becomes what they think about. Don't beat yourself up, build yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. That's what most people do. They beat the hell out of themselves. But Mr. Johnson is saying, why would you do that? If you were in a fight, imagine this in your mind's eye. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. You're about to go into a heavyweight prize fight, right? And you're about to fight this big opponent. I mean, this person is effing vicious. You've been training your whole life. You done did your road work. You done hit the heavy bag. You done did the speed bag. You eat right. You've been doing everything. And it's time for the fight night. And you walk down to the ring, and the crowd, which is society, is cheering and this, that, and the third, and you're scared to death. But you know you got to get in this ring. And you look at the opponent across from you, and the person you're fighting is yourself. You said it yourself. I'm in competition with who? Myself. Not only are you fighting yourself, you're also the referee. You're also the trainer. You're also the manager. You see, it is your life. You created this fight. Now, if you go in that ring, prepare for this fight, and the other person across the ring is you, and you're saying, I'm going to beat the hell out of him, not realizing by beating the hell out of him, I'm beating the hell out of who? Myself. It's you're in the ring. You're the referee. You're the cut man. You're the trainer. It is your life. It is your life. It's all happening inside of you. You must come to understand to rely on your spiritual powers. People don't talk about this stuff anymore. They get caught up in religion, Catholicism, Christianity, Islam. And I mean, no disrespect to any of them. God bless them all. You know, but no one's born a Christian. No one's born anything. You become these things. And then once you become them and you accept them, here's what it's predicated on. Once you believe them, then that becomes that way for you. James, you can change your life really easily by saying, it's easy to change my life. It's easy. I have an affirmation. I would love to share it with you real quickly. And it goes this way. I am a billionaire. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly without great labor or toil. My life is simply amazing. Good fortune chases me down. I am truly the luckiest man in the world. I love money and money loves me. I have a lavish, steady, dependable income, consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. The reason it rolls out of my tongue like that, because my affirmation is not something that is separate from what I am. My affirmation is me. And because I believe it to be, and I know it to be true, such as my life. I am not special. I am not. I am no smarter than the average person. But what I am is in tune, when we talk about intuition, with the source of life itself. And that source of life is abundant with life, love, joy, peace, prosperity. These things exist. These words exist for a reason. Now, how do I get in tune with it? It is simple. Stop beating yourselves up, ladies and gentlemen. Build yourself up. Don't put yourself down. Lift yourself up. I'm not talking about being haughty or arrogant. I'm talking about with confidence and assurance in yourself. Believe in yourself. You'd be surprised at the power of your belief. It will move mountains if you only give it a chance to do so. I truly hope it helps.
Yeah, definitely helps. I'm still trying to figure it out, right? Like, but then again, I have so many things going through my mind right now, and I don't want to focus on anything negative, right? I want to everything positive.
It often happens when I have a comment. Mr. J, that's a lot to digest. I get it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you think the flower is worried about how long it takes for it to become a flower? No. You take an oak tree, you put that little pine cone, you throw it down in the ground. You think it's worried about how long it takes for it to grow? Not at all. Not at all. It's just going to do what it's supposed to do. It's going to grow. It's going to rain. It's going to get hot. It's going to get cold. It's going to go through all this different stuff. And each year it's still doing what? Growing. and such as you are, as a great oak tree. You might be dealing with some challenging times. You might have some difficulties along the road. You might run into some financial challenges, whatever the case might be. But it is true, James. It is true. All of you who are listening to me, heed the words of an older man. Heed the words of your elder. It is true. What does not kill you will make you stronger. It is just that simple. But again, as I stated earlier, no one wants to go through that. They want the riches, they want the happiness, they want the joy, but they don't want the pain, the adversity, and the trouble that comes with it. You have to embrace it all. And you have to embrace it with the right attitude. Attitude determines altitude. And you're one of my guys, and I'm sure the audience will listen to this and say, man, they had a great and real conversation, because I'm pulling for you. There are other things you can do too. Let me just say this to you too. You have a significant other in your life, pray together. You know, I'm not talking some religious, no, I'm talking, people don't know the power of agreement, the power of rest. These are spiritual laws, the spiritual law of agreement, the spiritual laws of reciprocity. You know it as, what do you guys call it? Karma. Young people say it all the time. Karma, what goes around comes around, and all these other. There are a lot of spiritual laws that are at work in your life, but if you are ignorant of them, you don't know how to use the law to benefit your life, then you become subject to the law. In other words, there's the law of gravity. No matter what no one tells you, if you walk up on a high building and you jump, by all means, by God's grace, you're going to fall. It is a law. There is nothing you can do about it. You're going to fall. There's a law of reciprocity. There's a law of agreement. There are things that you're just not taught. Remember, as I said, you're destroyed for lack of knowledge. Notice, not a lack of effort. Not a lack of effort. Many people try hard, but you can be trying to do something that's really unproductive for what you need to get done. And then when the universe or God brings these adverse circumstances and situations into your life, and you're saying, oh, it's going to kill me, it's going to destroy me, and then you get through it, and you see it wasn't meant to destroy you. Because once you hear a person come out of it, you hear them say, I'm glad I got through that, or I learned so much from going through that situation. The things that Mr. Johnson is suggesting to me are not outwardly, but they're inwardly. All change, listen carefully, all change starts from within. All change starts from within. And you, my friend, again, you're the trainer, you're the boxer, you're the referee, you're also your own opponent. I would highly suggest that you treat yourself well. Treat yourself well. Don't put yourself down. Don't critique yourself so much that you lose the joy. I bet you, as many other people, instead of focusing on how far you come, how great of a job you've done, look at you now. Look at you. You're having podcasts. But you won't think about that. You're just gonna think, well, you're not.
I do. I
But really
feel very
think about
proud
that.
of those things. But it's like I said, like I have all this knowledge, I have all this strategies, of this results, I have evidence and everything. But it's that baggage that I like. Trust me, mentally, I'm like, I do yoga, I meditate, I talk to people like you, with Jason and all these people, and I'm about it, right? Like I take action. I'm doing these things. Like I'm digesting everything that you're telling me. I'm not just going about life, about surviving. Like I'm every single second I want to grow, and when I'm not, I'm decompressing. Like that's it. It's like, look, I just need a break. I just need to relax. I need to kind of get my shit together. But other than that, like I'm every waking moment, I'm like obviously I can get distracted and stuff because I'm looking for some dopamine because I feel frustrated or something, right? But so it's that balance, it's that finding
Even
those
God
things,
rested. Even God rested. Sometimes you just need to take a rest. Even God, he looked at all of what he had made and said it was good. And God rested on the sixth day. Sometimes you just need to take a rest. Yes. Rest your mind, rest your spirit. I hear you saying, I'm constantly doing this. You shouldn't be constantly doing anything. Don't forget the joy of life. Don't forget the joy of living. How about the word gratitude? I'm thankful for what I have. I'm glad that I have this wonderful girlfriend. You know what? I might not be where I want to be, but I'm glad I'm where I'm at because I'm not what I used to be. I've come so far along the way. Man, I'm so excited about what my future holds for me, so to speak. I'm so excited about that. If you notice, all Mr. Johnson keeps doing is turn the coin over because that was my weakness. I would focus on the cup is half empty as opposed to half full. But I realized it's better for it to be half full than to be empty completely. And you can always fill it back up. So the point I'm trying to make to you is get your mindset in the way. Once your mind is set, listen to the word mindset. If it's set, then it should be immovable. So if it's immovable, why would I be frustrated? Why would I be?
I didn't. That's another one. That's my second big takeaway for today. The double mindset and the My
Your mindset. Because if your mind is set, it's set. That means it's set. It's a fixed position. And if it's fixed, then why am I experiencing all this other shit? Because my mind is not set. I would like for my mind to be set. Don't get me wrong. I would like for my mind to be set. But no one's going to come in and reach into your brain and say, okay, let me fix it so your mind is set. That's not how it happens. You, my friend, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. You got to make a damn decision. You got to make a damn decision. I cannot be double-minded, number one. I must know what it is that I want, number two. And once my mind is fixed, that means no matter what comes my damn way, no matter what comes my way, be it good or bad, it does not change my mind way, my mindset. So when you see people saying their mind is set, but you see them swinging back and forth, their mind is not set.
That's it. You're
That's me. That's why.
Yeah, man, you always call me out, but I like it. You know, this is growth, and those three takeaways, right? Don't be double mindset. Know who you are, and when you have that mindset, that means that it's fixed, and that's something I always talk about mindset. And I thought I knew, but I was fine, and that's it. It's it's
that's the gray hair on my face. That's why I love pouring into young people. One of the things I want to tell young people is connect with some older people, man. I
do that all the time. I'm the youngest guy everywhere.
So I got nothing but young people around me. The Cash Apps and the Instagrams and the Facebook. You see how old I am. The young cats keep me abreast of that. But I surround myself with them because just as much as I'm learning from them, they're learning from me. And you know what a lot of them say? Jay, no one ever talked to me like this, or I might not have my father in my life. You know, you're a father to some, you're a business coach to some, you're a spiritual person with others. You know, you become all things to all men. You know, regardless of race, creed, gender, sexual orientation, none of that stuff matters to me. At the end of the day, all of us want to be happy. All of us want to have some type of fulfillment in our lives, but most of us just don't know how to do it, not because they're unwilling or that they can't. They just never have been taught how to do it. And the simplest thing is that I have to change my mind, the way I'm thinking of, and the way you're thinking, not about the world, about yourself. Man, stop putting yourself down, man. Stop that shit. That's bullshit. Excuse my French, ladies and gentlemen.
It is what it is.
That's some bullshit, man. Don't put yourself down. I got a client who's overweight. Oh, I didn't, do what I needed to do this week. What, I'm gonna play the violin and scream at this individual? You're only letting yourself down. If you don't want to lay on that table because you had a heart attack, or you don't want to wind up in that box sooner than you're supposed to, then you're in complete control of what goes in your mouth. I tell them straight. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm trying to make you realize that you have the power. But you must get your mind set no matter what comes my way, be it good or bad. And here's another thing. Everybody can't go with you. Everybody can't come with you. You might have to change a lot of things about your life. But I'll tell you this, if you say, I'm going to Puerto Rico, not I want to go. I'm going to Puerto Rico. They say, how you going to do it? I don't have to worry about how I'm going to do it. See, now you're trying to figure it out and rationalize it. And then you start looking at your bank account and your clients, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, which immediately creates the doubt. And the doubt's what causes it to propel itself. You are energy.
So hard though. Like, because it's hard to, there's the power, right? Like, and I believe in it. I just think that I don't know how to control it. I don't want to say, I don't know, and I'm putting it out, right? It's hard for me. I don't want to lie. Like, I never want to feel like I'm a liar, right? And I know, like, oh, if you believe it, then you're not lying. You believe it, right? So, but it's hard. It's so hard to not fall into being delusional and too risky, because I believe that. I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what I believe.
Listen, let me tell you this. It's not the author of confusion. There's no reason to go. I understand what you're saying, Mr. J. Am I faking it till I make it? Is that what you're suggesting? Absolutely not. No, not at all. What I'm saying to you is the reason it's a struggle for most people, because again, most people are not in tune with their spirit. They're just not. It's like a guitar. You play it and you hit the wrong string and it's out of tune. What's the guy do? He takes it and he tunes it. You see, you got 5 strings on that guitar, right? 4 of your strings are working well, but this is one string, James, that you keep hitting and it's out of tune. So instead of you saying it's hard, I don't know what to believe, no, just tune it. How do I tune it? I'm gonna tune it to the pitch or sound that I want it to have. And once I tune it, I've made up my mind, or my mind is set. So
That's
now
another one. So then look, I'm kind of connecting the dots here, right? So then you were saying about your vision, about like, oh, like adjusting, and then about the mindset, about setting. So I'm blind and kind of little blind. I set to this prescription, I look good, right? But then if you start not seeing and then you need more, then your mindset, then you tune it. Is that correct? Is that
that's
perfect? It's another look. That's the fourth takeaway.
You know what
Oh,
that's
there's four there.
That's
Nice.
called being fluid. That's called being fluid. You must keep your mind fluid. You know, even a dam that holds back billions of gallons of water has these spillways. So if it gets too much, you're able to let some of that pressure off. In other words, even though that dam is set, it's not moving, there's still ways to relieve some of that pressure. You see, I want you to see that. So even though that dam is holding back billions of gallons of water, if it gets too much pressure, they open up these spillways to remove some of that pressure, even though the dam hasn't moved. So your mindset has not changed. So Mr. J is telling me to stay fluid. Stay fluid. Oh, this hits me in the head. That hits me in the head. And like any person, you know, that's not to say my life doesn't have challenges. Not at all. I had a health scare this year. The doctor told me, Mr. Johnson, you got to make some serious changes with your health. And thank God for my wife, because you know what? Okay, fine. I don't want to wind up on an operating table, and I don't want to wind up in that box. So let me get my mind together. And how I did it is I educated myself. I have type 2 diabetes. So, you know, they're telling me about your carbs and your glucose numbers and your A1C and all this stuff that was foreign to me. It was foreign to me. I just like to eat a cheeseburger and some fries and have a Coke.
Same.
I'm just being
Yeah,
honest, you know, real simple. But then they said, no, Mr. Johnson, you can't partake of that no more. If not, you can have kidney failure. You can have a stroke. You can have this happen to you. So then now I need to educate myself on what's good for me to eat. Now I need to incorporate more exercise, drink more water, stay away from sugary drinks, if you will. Why? Until I feel better, because I've educated myself. That's another thing. I want to encourage all of you to read more. You must read more. Just don't listen to people. You must keep your mind stimulated. You cannot become intellectually lazy. All right? You can't just stop feeding your mind. If you're feeding it a bunch of YouTube videos, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're feeling a constant diet of just listening to people, you know, at some particular point in time, you're going to have to stop listening and start taking massive action to start moving your life in that direction. And I hope the principles, you said you took away a few things today. Great. Share it with the audience. Let them know what's going on. Hey, you can't be double down.
I'll be doing content out of this too, and want to do some. So because the thing about content for me, this is content, right? This is long form, like podcast, but then in the short video form, which is what is reaching the most people nowadays, it's where I basically documenting small little clips of what I'm learning, right? Like, and this is part of it. And obviously I'm gonna definitely share. I've quoted you so many times, more times
You
that
know
I
what I
can't
want
even
you to
count.
do? I want you to take this away, because regardless of all those things that you're going to use, you said, Mr. J, what's the most applicable? What's the most important, if you will? Belief.
You
Believe
don't
me,
get what you want, you get
get
what you
what
believe.
you get what you believe. And so I want to prove this to you. You just said earlier, you know, I'm in this way, but I'm struggling with that, because I believe that that's what you're experiencing.
It's tough. It's tough not to see
Stop saying,
things and
stop saying,
be like,
stop saying that. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. See, it's another ancient
uh,
text. It says this. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. It says this: by your own words, you are justified. By your own words, you are condemned. What does that mean? You're speaking it. It's tough. You're saying it. So therefore, it must become tough. Stop saying that. Stop saying what you don't want.
that's true.
Stop saying
So
what you don't want. Only speak that what you desire. What you're fighting are your old habits and your old way of thinking. What did I state earlier? Be ye transformed through the renewing of your mind. You need a new mindset. Get rid of that old sofa that's wore out, man. Throw that shit out.
I need I don't I don't want to say anything wrong, right? Like I really want to show that I'm learning, and for me, I'm trying to figure out where do I want to set my mind, if you will, right? Because I don't know why I think about this as like I've never have a doubt that I will succeed. I just don't know how. Like I don't know, and it's not that I'm not, it's relative, right? But like I, to get to a point where I don't feel so limited, that I don't have enough time with my family, that I am so insecure about, should I move back to Puerto Rico and sell the house, or should I pivot differently in what I'm doing, like my type of clients, or like it's a matter of knowing, right? And like what is what's the best for me. Like I'm trying to reverse engineer. I know what I want. Like I know what I believe that I should be doing. Like I believe that I have so much potential that I can truly have a big impact in the world. Like I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. I don't know. Like I haven't figured out yet what's gonna be the vehicle that will get me to the point where I don't have to be chasing money, because I already kind of took care of that. Like I established a system where I can now be traveling all the time, spend time with you in person, with Jason, being able to real have like that impact in what I believe life is about, right? It's about connection in person and impact, and finding ways to overcome things. But like the baseline, right? Like you don't start living until you're making like a living that doesn't. So it's like, do I want to not be just renounced to my house and then just, okay, look, I live way more humble, but now I am able to do, like I don't know what's the answer, it's those things.
I understand that, but a lot of young people can, because they've been inundated with materialism. Hell, man. When I grew up with my folks, we did not have much at all. We were, I don't need no sob story here because I've done okay for myself. But I would say to people, everybody wants to be a millionaire. There's nothing wrong with being 100,000-aire. Nothing wrong with it at all. The average age of the millionaire in this country is 56 years old. You're 30. You have time to build your fortune. You have time. It's not just, let me make a lot of money with my clients. The money I do get, am I investing it? Do I understand what to do with money? Money is just energy and thought. That's why
I think I do believe that very heavily, and that's why I get confused, because it's like
I said to you earlier, it comes to me how easily.
I say that. Look, I have a look right now here. You can see my affirmations, and it says right there. I have a paper.
But I heard you say earlier, you're chasing it. When you're chasing something, it applies as running away.
I tell that to myself, but then it doesn't. What if I keep telling it and then it doesn't happen? Like,
if you think it won't happen, then it won't.
But I guess it's that double mindset thing, right? Like the double. That's something that I learned today, right? So it's
and you just said earlier, I don't want to say the wrong thing. So what Mr. Johnson is forcing me to do is think about what I'm saying. That's all that's happening. You're thinking about what you're saying now, because you're realizing a lot of stuff you were saying was not the right thing. And it's definitely not what you meant, but even though it's not what you meant, that's still what you're saying. So you're seeing your answer is you. I told you, your opponent in the ring is you. You're fighting yourself. You're trying to even be mindful of what I'm saying now, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. But what Mr. Johnson,
like you said, is that person that is there is vicious.
Vicious, man. He's vicious, man. He's a beast, bro. He is a beast, and he will kick your ass if you let him. If you let him. But you don't understand when he moves. When he moves, it's not to hit him.
And like this has been so such a powerful thing. And I every day I feel closer. It's sometimes I kind of get lost for a little bit, and then I'm like, no, like, and then I just like work through it, and I'm just like, no, like, just sit down here. You don't feel like it, but just give you everything that you have and just keep pushing. And then suddenly I have the right conversation with the right person and it's pushing me in the right direction. Bam. And then, damn, like, okay, good. I'm going there. Right. And I just keep pushing that way. And that's, that's what I'm doing. And that's why, like, I really like this type of conversations, because this is very impactful for me. And
I want you to hear these words: in spite of my circumstance, I must keep what? Going. In spite of what I'm dealing with at this time, I must keep believing. In spite of. I don't want to give anyone who's listening the wrong impression. Has my life been easy and roses? Man, hell no. But I thank God for every moment of it, because it made me into the person I am today. If you look at your life as a piece of fabric and you wanted to remove the bad pieces of it and you started pulling on that string, you would realize you would unravel your whole life. It is all connected. You're going to be fine. And I want to say that to all who are listening. You're going to be okay. Start saying that to yourself. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be super fantastic.
You know what I've been saying, that I learned from a clip that I saw from Shia LaBeouf. He was on a podcast and he said he was dealing with some mental struggles and stuff, and he kind of was sharing about his thing of, like, he's saying, look, at the end, everything is gonna be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end.
That's right.
And that's, I live by that. Like, there's a couple phrases that I live by. That's one of my most prominent ones. And then like, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. That's another big one that I reference on at least half of my podcast. I think I've said them, if not more. So, I have those certain things that are like my mantras, right? That I tell to myself to remind myself like that it's gonna be okay, right? And to believe and everything.
It's gonna be super fantastic. Super fantastic. Again, the power of your spoken word, the power of your words. By your own words, you're justified. And by your own words, your words, you are condemned. Don't condemn yourself. Don't put yourself down. Enough of the beating yourself up. Build yourself up. It's not hard, man. I got this. Be confident in yourself. These things are germane to your success. You know what I have a bunch of guys that have degrees and doctorates. They struggle financially, spent all that money in their education. They said, Mr. Johnson, you got a high school diploma. How did you become an executive at Walt Disney? How did you do all of that? Because I never bought into the BS, the bullshit. You're much more than a label. I assure you of this. All you got to do is have faith and trust. Trust God. I believe in God. Some people don't.
I do.
Yeah.
Do
you go and give some man 10% of your money? Absolutely.
I'm not religious. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in religion. I just believe that that's way more about control than anything. God exists, but I'm a spiritual person, and I think that's what we buy. Like, we, since day one. Since this, like, we met day one.
Yeah,
that day was very impactful for me.
It was extremely powerful for you. I'm not going to disclose your business, but yes, it was. And as I told you, James, in time, now look at us. And does it seem that long ago? No, not at all.
A year and a half, a little bit over a year and a half now since we met.
Now look at us. We're doing your podcast,
and you can see, people can go watch the episode with you, right? And a lot of them probably already watched them, right? And then seeing this and the growth from that podcast to this podcast of myself, and even you, like, I feel like you even were even more articulated and everything. So I think, and you were very good at that. I'm not saying like I was, if anything, right? But I feel like we both got better and we both did better. And this conversation is way better.
That's because we got to know each other better. We're much more personal. We have conversations. The more, hey, listen, man, you know how to get close to God? You spend time with them. You know how you get close to people? You just spend time with them. It's just that simple. We spend some time talking, offline.
That's what, that's what I believe that I should be doing more, right? I should be, I want to, I believe that I should spend more time with you in person. I believe that I should spend more time with my family in person. Like, I believe that I should be doing all these things.
I want you to change that word should to must.
I know. I'm just trying not to lie to myself. Like, it's just so hard, right? Like, I'm okay. So it's, as it is, I'm already like I'm learning how to speak again, basically, right? So it's like you said about the walking. Like, right now, I'm like falling and falling and falling and falling, but I'm gonna keep working. I keep standing up, and I'm gonna keep learning how to speak properly
You know
so
why
I
you
can
fall so much,
speak it up.
James? To teach others to stand. Understand the process, young man. The reason you're falling is so when the time comes, you will teach others to stand.
That's the goal. That's why I do this. That's why I endure all this. Like this is bigger than myself. Like I'm trying to figure it out for myself, but I'm creating that path. That's how I see it since the beginning. Like I opened my agency and I was like, oh, I choose PR because I want to create that path to how to properly do this on an ethical matter, and so we can amplify the impact of, so I can amplify the impact of the right people, right? And that's this is me right now taking, like, you know, all the thorns and stuff of the way, and then I clear it, and then I just want to be like, hey, come here, and everybody's gonna find their own challenges, right? Because things change, but I want to be a guy, right? I want to, it's just, I have this thing about, it makes me happy to feel like I'm doing my part to make the world a better place. It
The
just,
path,
that makes me happy.
the path is that you're chosen is already set before you were born. You just have to walk it.
And I'm
Walk.
here walking and falling and walking and
And
falling, standing up, right?
as long as you got that GPS guiding you, sometimes there's a detour along the way. Sometimes there's a delay, like a traffic jam, but eventually you go to your destination. The path that you've chosen was already chosen for you before you were born. Remember, I told you at the very beginning of this conversation, you chose to come here. You might not remember why you did, but the important thing is that you did. You are not alone. You are not by yourself. The ancestors are with you. Your great grandparents, the angels, every life itself is pulling for you. So just go with the flow. Don't beat yourself up. Remember, you become what you continuously think about. Your thoughts, your mind, your imagination, your heart, your emotions, energy in motion, your emotions, how you feel. They're all playing a part of what manifests in your life. But if one continuously says to themselves, it's tough, it's hard, it's difficult, it's tough, it's hard, it's difficult, and they believe that, the same law that operates gravity is the same law that operates that as well. So by you believing that, and by your own words you're justified, and by your own words you condemn, Mr. Johnson is constantly trying to get me to see, only speak that which you desire, nothing more. And when you find yourself saying something that you don't want, you start catching yourself, man, why am I thinking this way? That's the old program running. Remember the Matrix? You got to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and unbelief. Free your mind. Yes, about.
So this is my, I guess this is my, I think it's my fifth one today that I really making the notice. You only speak that what you desire, right?
That's correct.
That you
Anything
desire.
other than that is contradicting what you really want. So if I speak lack, but I want to be successful, how can poverty and wealth exist in the same mind? Wouldn't that not make you double-minded?
It does. It does. And that's why it's the biggest takeaway for today's conversation, because that's me. Like, and I feel like it goes back to the parents thing too. Like, I feel like that. I feel like I'm like a parent right now. Like, oh, like I'm trying to help all these people, believe in yourself, and then I'm here double-minded and all that, right?
Okay,
And oh,
your
you know.
heart's in the right place. Listen, get in the spiritual gym. Most people go to Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, all these different gyms, and they get their bodies in shape, get their abs and all that. You know what it is. But if you were to ask them, do you spend any time in a spiritual gym? And they would look at you like you're a damn alien. You're a damn alien. What are you talking about, the spiritual gym? The gym of life is the spiritual gym. And just like in life, how you have a bank account, you got a checking account and a savings account. In the spirit realm, there's an account. You can fill that account with your prayers. So when times get tough, you can withdraw from that account and it'll get you through. But if you don't know this, remember, you're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. You don't know that these things exist. You mean to tell me I got a spiritual bank account? Absolutely you do. You reap what you sow. What goes around comes around, absolutely you have a spiritual bank account. When's the last time you made a deposit? And maybe there's nothing to withdraw because you put nothing in it. Think about it.
I do think I know that I do deposit. I may not deposit as much as I want, and I probably withdraw more than I should. So who knows? Like, I'm trying to figure it out, right?
That's an honest answer.
But
get a spiritual gym. Most people spend 3 days a week in the gym building their body and won't spend an hour building their spirit. Not 1 hour.
no, I completely agree. Completely agree with this. And that's why, like,
Here you go. But let something tragic happen. Who the first person they call on? Oh God, everybody, please pray for me. Please pray for me. Tell me I'm lying.
no
Because
common.
they spend no time in the spiritual gym. They spend no time in the spirit realm. They spend no time seeking God. They spend no time doing any of these things. And let your mom get sick. Let your grandmama get sick. Let your baby get sick. Let you lose your job. Oh God, why'd you let this happen to me? That's exactly why I did, to get your attention. Your life is not unto your own, James. Believe me. You young people say you can speak something into existence. I said something earlier, then who's listening to you on the other side? What does that require of you? A lot of times we don't get what we want, not because we don't believe it. We don't get what we want because you don't deserve it. A lot of people don't want to have that conversation. Most people aren't as good as they think they are. Most people aren't as kind as they think they are, portray themselves to be. There's a very deep checklist, my friend.
I know. I'm going through it. Trust me.
Checklist.
And that's why this is my spiritual gym time, you know?
It is.
This is
exactly. And Mr. J's my trainer. He's training me. Listen, don't beat yourself up. Don't be double-minded. Calm your mind. Relax. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be super fantastic. Trust me.
Thank you, Mr. J. Thank you for that.
My pleasure, man.
That is very powerful. I don't think I'm ever gonna get tired of listening to you. I might get triggered, and it's part of growth. And I kind of I've been happy of getting triggered in a way, because it shows me what I need to be working on, and that's something that I learned.
I understand. My mentees, it's not always a rose and cheek conversation. We have some very difficult conversations, but it's through those difficulties that you grow. And Mr. J, at the end of the day, they all know Mr. J cares about them. He's pulling for them. But it is not my job to tell you what you want to hear. It serves me no purpose by being disingenuous and just giving you a bunch of fluff. You don't need to be coddled. None of us do. We need to be told the truth. Not my truth. I hear people say that all the time. This was my truth. What the hell does that mean? That's not the truth. The truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. The deal is, are you man or woman enough to handle it and to deal with it and make the appropriate changes that he or she needs to make to put their life in the right direction? My style of coaching is not for everyone.
I like saying, I've been posting about this and everything. It's like there's no growth in the comfort zone. Like if you're in the comfort zone, there's no growth happening in there. So in order to grow, you gotta get out of the comfort zone, meaning you're gonna be uncomfortable, meaning there's gonna be triggers, meaning you gotta go through stuff. Like, so that's why I tell people, and that's why I tell myself, like, I literally, most of the things that I create in content and all that, I do it because I have in my mind is I'm creating content for my younger self. Right. And even for my present self, I go watch my content and I'm like, I gotta believe what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing it for me, and I share it with the world with the hopes that somebody will also, benefit from it. Right. I'm already saying it. I'm already doing these things. It's helping me. If I have the medium, right, to share it, then might as well share it and put it out there. And I'll have people message me and be like, "No, you inspire me, and thanks for you. Like, I started my business, I just opened my LLC and all that." Like, and that look, I just say things that I don't just get goosebumps and everything, because for me, like, that makes me feel like I'm a good person that's doing good for the world. And for me, that's just the ultimate thing. And it's not like I put my happiness on the hands of other people. because it's not like that, but it's the confirmation of good energy coming out and coming back,
I want to
right?
say to you, money and all those things are the byproducts of doing other things well. I assure you, if you keep doing what you're doing, in time,
You
in
always tell me
time,
that.
in time, you will see the fruits of your labor pay off. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not. A great oak tree starts off as a seed, but you notice the seed has to die. The old James has to die in order to bear new fruit. You put a seed in the ground, what happens to that seed? The shell comes off of it, the seed dies, it takes root. Understand this, your thoughts are seeds. Your mind is the soil. You water those seeds with your words. And in time, what happens? Once it takes root, it starts to grow. Do you put an apple seed in the ground and 2 days later there's an apple tree? No. It takes several years for that tree to grow and to become strong. Then the branches come off. And then once the branches come off, then comes the fruit. And you just can't pick the fruit. You got to pick it at the right time, because if you pick it too soon, it's not sweet. You want to pick it at its peak of freshness. You, my friend, are the tree. And your success is the fruits of your labor. But give it time to grow. It's just that simple.
Yeah. And thanks for this, Mr. This is my longest ever conversation like this, and I feel very, very good about it. And I just want to say, thank you for that, because this was my spiritual gym time, right? And again, we recorded it, so that's good, because now not only you just were able to mentor me, right, and teach me these things and guide me and just give me perspective in general, but now I'm able to post this and put it to the masses. So, and then it's there, right, forever, like, unless we take it down, which we probably won't. So I
want to leave you with these words then. From the day that you're born to the ride in that hearse, things are never so bad that they couldn't be worse. I once saw a man complaining because he had no shoes, until I saw a man with no legs. The point of my conversation, life is colorful. Keep everything in its perspective. You're going to do just fine, young man. You're going to do just fine.
Thank you, Mr. J. That was powerful. I think about that all the time. Perspective is everything. That's why I tell people, it's like, I'd say like, oh, can't go out as much or whatever, but I feel like I haven't gone out that much. But then I have a house with a 3-bedroom, 2 baths, like by myself, my girlfriend that loves me, like I always have great food and
gratitude.
So I know it's just the family part, right? And I know that I can do it, and I'll figure it out, and this is just part of my journey. So thank you, Mr. J. Thank you for taking the time. This was amazing. Thanks for this. I'm probably gonna go back and listen to this again, like I've done with the other one. I listened to the other one like 20 times. So
good. And if anybody really reaches me, reach out to Terrance Johnson on LinkedIn. I come on, do podcasts and things of that nature. So just be encouraged, ladies and gentlemen. Just be encouraged and keep going. Believe in yourself. Don't doubt yourself. I bid you nothing but peace, James. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.